Today's episode is inspired from my self-care society class titled I'm Hyped for Life. So we're going to be talking about getting hyped. And our quote comes from Jody Cook, who says, being your own hype girl means relying on nothing other than yourself to escape unhelpful thought patterns. It's powerful. It's life-changing. Most people can't do it. It involves having a set of tools that you know you can visit and revisit to get you back to feeling in charge and ready to take action. When you are your own hype girl, you don't need to look to anything outside of your control to change your mood because you know full well you have everything you need to make it happen. All right, I'm going to take that with me today. Remind myself of that. So what does hyped mean? Like, how does the definition define this? And the dictionary define this, excuse me. And that's to stimulate, to enliven, to increase, right? You know how you feel when you're hyped. And maybe this isn't a feeling that you get to experience all the time, but it's certainly fun when you get in that mood, isn't it? So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to talk about today's, especially how we can bring more of it into our life. So I'm going to invite you to just think of a moment in your life where you were pretty hyped. And even if you can't think of it, I'm going to ask you to just embody this feeling of feeling hyped in your body and just notice what you feel, okay? So I like to close my eyes. It helps me to kind of drop into it a little bit. When I'm hyped, I'm just like, I'm pumped up. I am eager. I'm excited. I'm energized. I'm like antsy in a good way, ready to go. So what do you experience? Okay. Bring that energy of feeling hyped into your body, and let's carry it with us for the rest of this episode and for the rest of our day, if possible. Okay. So man, this word hyped, I mean, like the first thing that comes to mind is a friend of mine. I have a friend named Lindsay Diamond, and she is the ultimate hype girl for literally anyone she loves. And truthfully, even people she's just met. She has such an enthusiasm for people and their stories and their lives that she makes you feel like the most interesting person in the room. And Lindsay has this like childlike curiosity about the way things work and why people are the way they are. And it's hard not to smile and laugh and feel drawn to her and to being with her as much as possible. And it's a quality that I admire deeply. And I think it's hard to authentically, like truly find in people. And we've come to know this in the modern world as what some might call a hype girl or a hype person. It's this concept of a hype person. And it makes me think a lot about how to play more of this role for others, as well as, and maybe most importantly, how we can be our own best hype person. You know, children have this pretty innately, I found. I love watching my 2-year-old be proud of herself. She'll smile so big at the huge block tower she built, or how fast she can say the ABCs. She'll do something and then immediately ask for a high five to celebrate herself. She's just like hyped at her own success, and she wants you to be too. And it makes me think about like, when do we lose this? When do we let go of celebrating our own wonderful uniqueness? What is it that makes us feel like we can't be hyped on ourselves and our lives? And that if we are, we're arrogant or egotistical. So I really want to bring back the hype girl. And I think we should start with ourselves. So here are a few tips that should help to find a little bit more hype in your life. So the first is to brag about yourself. So sometimes in Self-Care Society, we do an exercise to push ourselves to brag a little bit. And it's always challenging for the majority of members, but it's also always inspiring. As shares like pop into the chat, you can't help but realize that you are surrounded in some really badass people. And not just that you're surrounded by them, but that you are actually one of them too. So I would encourage you to write a list of your brags and what makes you awesome. And then if you're feeling bold, you can share it with someone too. The second thing is to write your hype bio. Okay. So my talent manager once gently responded to an email where I had included my work biography. And she told me that while it was lovely, it didn't scratch the surface of how awesome she knew I was. And so she asked me to rewrite my bio as a hype bio, to really not be afraid to brag about myself and my accomplishments and what I had done. And the rewriting process certainly stretched me and pushed me outside of my comfort zone a bit. But when I finished it and I read it and sent it over, I was truly hyped. And it was all true. Everything I wrote was true. It just did such a better job of celebrating me. Okay, so take your bio, whatever that is, and I'm going to encourage you to take it up a notch. Okay, you deserve that. The third tip I have is to create hype in your life. Whether you want to call it hype or simply excitement, you can totally create things to look forward to for yourself, whether that's planning a trip or something fun, setting a goal that stretches you and inspires you, maybe taking a risk and waiting to see the results, or really anything else that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat in this hopeful sense of optimism. Don't be afraid to create your own hype and to stay in that energy and stay in that vibration as often as possible. And the fourth thing is to know that you can be hyped about even the smallest things in your life. It's all in how you look at them. So what do you have ahead on your plate that you can decide to be super hyped about? Are you hyped that you got out of bed this morning? Can you be hyped that you have food in your fridge? There are so many ways to get hyped in your everyday life. You just have to make the decision. All right. Let's practice feeling more hyped together with some exercises straight from Self-Care Society classes. As always, we'll pause to give you a moment to think, but feel free to stop the recording if you need more time to ponder or write. You'll also hear inspiring examples from our live classes too, and you can join us for a full schedule of live and on-demand classes at selfcaresociety.co. All right, so we have 5 exercises, and we're going to start with a favorite of mine, which is really just like a brain dump exercise. So we're going to kick off this episode with this simple brain dump, and you can write or just kind of like allow your space to kind of go inward and ask what's going on. Just ask yourself, how am I feeling? What's going on with me right now? What might I have myself know? Okay, so if I do a brain dump, I might say, it feels good to start a new week and have the structure and normalcy after a week of visitors. Mary, my mother-in-law, was here to help with my daughter, so I can take some time to focus on things that feel lingering. I'm feeling pretty rested and would love to get a workout in today as I know it helps my mood, and so on. Okay, so you can see this is just like a random stream of thoughts to kind of get the juices flowing. So all I'm asking you to do essentially is just check in with yourself. How you doing right now? Okay, awesome. So our gratitude exercise is called I'm Hyped About. And I want you to ask yourself, what are you hyped about in life right now? And these can be small or big things. I want you to just simply make a list. Okay, so my example is I said, I am hyped about all my young fruit trees and the potential of our fruit forest and all it will bear in the future years. I'm hyped about Self-Care Society and all the amazing ways that it can help other people. I'm hyped about my limitless potential to continue to grow and evolve into whoever I want to be. All right. So what can you be hyped about in life right now? Karen says, I'm hyped about rediscovering what makes me happy. Eileen says, I'm hyped to be getting back to work at a job I love part-time this summer. Mackenzie says, I'm hyped to have a job that feels safe in my body. Beautiful. So what are you hyped about? Our next exercise is an intentionality exercise called Hyped This Week. So I want you to now think about your week ahead and what you can be hyped about. Okay, so just a little bit of a different sort of frame of reference. So even the smallest things, as I mentioned, can be something worth getting hyped about. So for example, this week I can be hyped about having more childcare support to chip away at some of the things on my list that I've been wanting to get done. This week I can be hyped at the warming weather and all the crops that love it and thrive in the heat. Okay, so what can you be hyped about? Look at your week ahead and think about a few things that you can feel excited and hyped about. Kim says, this week I can be hyped about the freedom to manage my calendar and reschedule meetings that won't receive my full attention or my best energy. Ooh, I love that. Jess says, I'm hyped about the solo time as my partner has a rare commitment this weekend. Suzanne says, I'm hyped to have continued improvement in my range of motion and strength after only 3 weeks post-knee surgery. Yes, awesome. Okay, so our next exercise is an affirmation exercise called your current hype bio. Okay, so we're going to reference one of my tips here about this hype bio. So it's time to write yourself a hype bio. I want you to write about yourself from the most hyped up perspective. Okay, what makes you so dang awesome? And you can write this from someone else's perspective, write it as if someone else is writing it about you. And sometimes I find that to be a little bit easier. So here's my example. Danika is so awesome. She has built incredible businesses that have changed people's lives and improved the world, all while prioritizing her own self-care and teaching others to do the same. She's a wonderful mom and so present with her daughters. Danika dreams big and she achieves those dreams. Danika has taken some amazing adventures and so on. Okay, so I know that this can be challenging. Okay, I honor that and I respect it, but I do want to push you to actually give it a shot, even if it's a few sentences. How can you hype yourself up? How can you write just a quick kind of mini bio of, your most hyped self right now? What's true for you? Okay, beautiful work. Now, our final exercise is building upon this. This is a manifestation exercise called your future hype bio. So we're now going to jump into the future and write ourselves a future hype bio, touching on all the many wonderful things that you may experience in your life. So this is where you get to dream and really weave into the story what you want to experience, right? So here's my example. I said, Danika has helped millions to live lives that feel really good to them on the inside. She's an amazing mother to her children and travels all over the world with them and her partner, experiencing different lifestyles and cultures. Danika has been a powerful mentor for many women in business and helped them grow their own passions in huge ways, and so on. Okay? So what do you hope to be saying? If you got to write your own hype bio, which you do, if you get to be intentional and determine your course in life, what would it say? All right, and finally, we have a share from Karen.
Karen has been a powerful mentor for many women writers and helped them grow their own writing businesses in huge ways. She's a loving and connected woman, wife, and cat mom. She prioritizes her self-care, and being present and listening to her body are her life's biggest accomplishments. She is happily married, and you can find her most days tending her garden, reading books outside in the shade, and going on early morning nature walks before it gets too warm.
Amazing. All right. So even if you struggle to see it, I promise you there are so many things that you can feel hyped about regarding who you are and the beautiful life you've lived and that you're creating. If nothing else, I hope you can feel hyped that you took the time to listen or watch this episode, because that in itself is an act of self-love worth celebrating. Thank you so much for joining me today on your morning mindset practice. I hope you're feeling more hyped, and I'd love to have you join us at selfcaresociety.co for a live or on-demand class so you can stay consistent with your self-care, connect with other like-minded people, and continue filling your cup so you can overflow onto the world. We need you. I'll see you next time.